welcome to this week's webinar. My name's Nathan Batcher and I'll be your host for today. Before we begin, I'm just going to read through this disclaimer, so please feel free to read along as well. The information we publish is based on our opinion, plus our quantitative research and financial data. This service is not registered with any financial regulatory agency, such as the SEC or any other organization or governmental body. By using our platform or our services, you acknowledge that we do not provide personalized recommendation or advice. Alternative asset classes are volatile investments and carry significant risk. Please do your own research before making any financial decisions. Okay, so on this agenda today, we're going to be looking at the cup and handle pattern. We're going to be looking at the relevance to the market, the price action, and also the trading plan for altcoins. And there's going to be a Q&A session at the end. Okay, so let's start with the cup and handle pattern for Bitcoin. It's very topical at the moment, and obviously, I think we can safely say that we can put this against any other coins that currently have this pattern. So basically, the cup and handle pattern is primarily a bullish continuation price pattern. If we have a look here at the various different price patterns, we can see the cup and handle is there. It's not, I would say, it's not the pattern that's going to make the most gains, but I think it's one of the more reliable continuation bullish patterns out of there. So I think the fact that it currently looks like Bitcoin is facing that pattern, it's a good sign. And I think as well, the pattern is reasonably easy to spot. There's a few little things that you need to kind of know in terms of pattern measurements and when it's valid and when it's not valid, but it is pretty simple to use. So this is what it basically looks like, the cup and handle pattern. And I think something to note here is that typically, most traders say it can take about 6 months for it to develop, possibly more. The cup part and then the handle, obviously, maybe a little bit longer than that. And you can see the distinct components of it. And obviously, the more painful phase is going to be the handle phase, where you're waiting for the continuation of the bullish move, and potentially you get some pullback, which we'll discuss more in a moment. So I think the current cup and handle pattern formation on Bitcoin, it's on the weekly time frame, and it's kind of alluding to the fact that the current cycle has not yet peaked out, in case traders were worried by the recent pullback. So I think basically this gives us some comfort that eventually Bitcoin is going to go higher. And again, there's a few little details around it, like the expected handle which forms. It shouldn't ideally go past about half the size of the cup in measurement. Or even a third of the cup pattern. So ideally, we don't want to be going near the halfway mark. And if you can see Bitcoin, it really went nowhere near the halfway mark of the cup pattern during this recent correction. I mean, if it went down to maybe 38,000, then we could say, yeah, okay, it's getting past that point. But the fact that we bounced off 50, I think is a really good sign. Maybe we can categorize that as a third, maybe not exactly, but we can see that it's pretty near that measurement, and based on the pattern that I looked at earlier, showing you this kind of example, we can clearly see that Bitcoin, it looks pretty solid in terms of this cup and pattern formation being valid and something that could potentially blow out in future. I think the things, but despite this, obviously bullishness towards Bitcoin, having this pattern, a few simple rules still apply. And I think basically, if we're looking at the actual measurements of the cup itself, that's an easy thing to do because that should basically be the size of the breakout from the handle eventually. And also, we should see that there's a bull market in place, which I think we've got those components in, and we can safely say that. And I think, these type of patterns being in confirmed bull markets is probably one of the primary ways of us measuring that they could, or identifying that they're valid. So I think we can definitely say that Bitcoin is in an uptrend, and it's a continuation from the previous bull cycle. So that kind of fits with the criteria, and the target of the pattern is equal to the size of the supposed cup. So based on that and what we're currently seeing, this could mean that Bitcoin is going to go to around 110,000, or possibly a little bit higher. I mean, some analysts who I've been looking to say that, this pattern ideally should reach 110. Others are saying 120, based on the measurements. But I think based on the measurements that I'm seeing for Bitcoin, then we can easily see 110 achieved. I think the breakout point comes around 70,000. Another rule is that the cup and handle pattern is more accurate on a weekly in time and the daily time frame. So that's kind of alluding to the fact that the lower time frames are not as accurate, and we really want to be identifying this pattern in those two time frames that I've mentioned. So, and finally, once the breakout from the handle happens, it should happen on higher trading volume. So we haven't seen that part for Bitcoin yet, obviously play out, and it's still speculative that it's going to happen. But if it does happen, ideally, once we get past 70,000, we should start to see that um, the volume is going to increase quite significantly. Having a look at the trading plan for the week and the altcoin space, I think Ripple had an interesting move this week, and this is very much the larger picture for XRP at the moment in terms of this monthly trend line breakout that we've started to test above. So obviously, if you can have a look, 2018 trend line, it goes back a long time, like a very long way. We moved up towards it last month, then we reversed, tested towards the bottom trend line, and now we're back there again. So if this does start to break out, then I think there's a very big target just above 1 cent. Even I think if we wanted to be more exact, 113 is indicated. So I think next week will be big week for Ripple, and if we can get some momentum in Bitcoin towards maybe the 66,000 level, then this breakout could start to see some momentum. I think the first targets are probably going to be, like the 0.80 level, the normal kind of candidates, and then the 113 to the 1 cent area is the next big area that the market needs to break. If it goes above there, then probably 1 cent 50. But I think we need a combination of things in order for that to happen, i.e. the legal issues need to be resumed. But I do think XRP is eventually going towards 1 cent and higher. If we have a look at Solana, I think that's very topical at the moment. A couple of people that work at Biyond are very bullish about Solana, and the price targets range from 240 to all-time high. So this pattern in itself is pretty bullish, and the fact that we bounced so nicely and we're above the 200-day moving average, which many altcoins and Bitcoin aren't currently, probably shows the positivity towards Solana right now. But I would say if we're looking to put a cup and handle pattern, as I've just discussed, against this, it's still very speculative whether we actually have that or not. I don't think we have that or not. I can't see us making our way to 250 and then forming a new handle. The handle's forming now, so the fact that it's below the 250 level, if we move towards 250 and then form the handle, then I would say it's perfect, but it's not actually perfect. So I'm a little bit suspicious, and I say that it makes a very loose case for forming a cup and handle pattern. And I think the purists out there would say that it hasn't. So with that said, I still expect that we're going to see a new breakout to an all-time high, and I do think that 240 will probably come during this cycle, if not much higher for Solana. This brings us quite nicely to the crypto total market cap. Now, this pattern in itself, this falling wedge pattern, it's expanding. It's very, very bullish for the market in general. This kind of speaks to the fact that we're probably going to see the market continue higher. It is a reversal pattern as well, but there is a few clues there. We're not underneath we're not above the 200-day moving average, and we're not above that key trend line yet. So those are the things that we need to overcome next week. Once we get above there, we can start to target this top trend line. And again, it's not a perfect cup and handle pattern, but it's much better than Solana. It's not as good as Bitcoin because there's no new all-time high this year for the crypto total market cap. So I guess this could be alluding to the fact that Bitcoin is going to be much stronger going forward than altcoins. And I think I'm seeing some other indications with that myself, or maybe we're going to see just a select few altcoins, and it's going to be a real, flight to quality. And the ETF, I guess, approval is going to be a real game changer for these kind of bull cycles for Bitcoin and the crypto market in general. But overall, the crypto market cap, it does make a more compelling case for a cup and handle than something like Solana, but it's not as strong as Bitcoin. I think that's the broader point here. And one of the focuses of this webinar is that all indications are that Bitcoin is still going to remain king in the months ahead. And obviously we can see the fact that gold has also got this pattern, and this pattern has broken out. We can see these top kind of asset classes have have these really confirmed patterns on it, and notably something like Ethereum really doesn't. So it makes a very strong case for Bitcoin moving towards the 100,000 plus area at some point, hopefully before the election, but probably prior, due to the time it's taking. So we move to the Q&A session. If you have any questions, please do let me know. If there's any coins that you'd like me to take into next week's session and analyze, also let me know. You can reach out to me on Discord or email. Please feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again next week.